this is a 1983 Chevy C10, or as everybody knows them, the Squarebody Chevys. And we painted this truck a few years back, and we've been doing little odds and ends to it ever since to make it better. And today, we're going to make it a whole lot better. We're ditching that carburetor and putting some EFI on it. And we're not doing the Holley or the Tech, which we've done both of those, and both of them work. We're going to try the Edelbrock Pro Flo and see what that does. According to the internet, it works really well, and we all know the internet never lies to anybody. And this is just a nice small block Chevy 350. It was rebuilt when he bought the truck with the build sheet to prove it. It's got plenty of power, and he just wants a good cruiser. And there's no reason to swap this out for like an LS for what he wants to do. Most of the time, these small blocks will get you where you want to go. They're just fun motors, and they don't quite make as much fun power per dollar as the LS, but for what he wants to do, it's going to be just fine. So let's go over to the bench. I'll show you what we're putting on it. We'll talk about the ins and outs and all the good stuff. And here it is in all its glory. This is the Edelbrock Pro Flo, part number 35790. These are the 29-pound injectors. You can get different poundage for different horsepower, and you get this whole complete deal. You get the injectors, you get the fuel rails, you get the throttle body, you get all the sensors to make it run, and the intake manifold, the most important piece, along with a new distributor, the wiring, the computer, which is itty bitty, small dude, zip ties to tie your wiring up, gaskets, an instruction booklet, everything you need to do to put it in. The only thing you are on the hook for is a fuel system, and you'll have to buy a tablet because this thing is Bluetooth, so you don't have any hard wires to plug into like a gauge display or anything. It is all Bluetooth. You can work with about any Android or iPhone, I believe. You download their app and you can see in live time what this thing's doing, and you can tune it that way too. This is a self-learn system, so once it learns, it's going to continue to learn. And as far as I know, you could go in and kind of change parameters and stuff within the tuning app. So we'll talk about that more when we get there. But this thing, in my opinion, is an extremely good value at about $2,600. So if you don't want to swap that LS in it, this is a really good option. It's going to give you more horsepower, probably not much, but a little bit. And it's going to pick up your economy, some fuel mileage. So let's see what it takes to put this thing on. Here's a little tip for you. If you're cleaning off your old gaskets, get one of these. A little white right angle grinder. This one's from the Chinese Emporium store, Harbor Freight. And one of these little bristle brushes made by 3M. This is a Roll-Lock bristle gasket remover brush, and this will clean them gaskets off really nice and doesn't hurt the metal, and it just takes the gasket off. Doesn't leave any residue like these do. You know, these will leave them that little stuff everywhere that could get down in your motor, and some people think that this is the death of motors. I don't know. But put some rags in your intake, get yourself one of these, clean them gaskets right up, no problem. Alright, old stuff's off, and Edelbrock recommends that you test fit the new stuff with the valve covers, primarily for right there. I guess sometimes there's interference and they say you might have to grind. Ours is good, so we're going to go ahead and install the new stuff, make it permanent. Oh, and if you haven't done it yet, you need to find top dead center of cylinder number 1 and then back it off 12 degrees per Edelbrock's recommendations. You're going to need to find top dead center of cylinder number 1. So what's that mean? Well, cylinder number 1 has to be at the top of the bore on the compression stroke, meaning both intake and exhaust valves are closed. The easiest way to do this, pull a spark plug out, have a buddy roll a motor over. You keep your finger over the spark plug hole. When you hear it and feel it, it'll push your thumb out. You'll hear audible air leaving. That means the valves are closed and it's pushing air out the spark plug hole. So once you get to that point, you go over to your harmonic balancer. It'll have numbers from 0 to 12. You want to line the groove on a harmonic balancer up to the 0 on the timing tab, which would be located in the lower half of the motor if you don't know. Once everything is, you got 0 and the groove is lined up with 0, and your valves verify that your rocker arms are at the same height, one's not up, one's not down. There you go. That is top dead center on cylinder number 1 on the compression stroke. And to further confuse you, Edelbrock wants you to go 12 degrees before top dead center. So there would be a 12 on your timing tab. You will back it up to the 12 once you find top dead center, and there you go. You could drop your distributor in, and she should be pretty well timed and good to go. Once you got your gaskets on, you're going to take a little bit of RTV and you're going to put some around the water jacket ports, a little bit thicker there, and a thin one around all the other ports. And of course down your China wall here in the front and in the back there, about a 1/4 inch piece. No, I think I got it. Wires all out. Yep. I'm going to try to drop it straight down and a little wiggle and line your holes up. Start your bolts. Alright, bolts are all torqued, and you want to start from the inside and you work your way out in a crisscross pattern, and this is a small block Chevy, so 20 foot-pounds will do it. So now, distributor time. So this is the distributor that comes in the kit, and it is really nice. And the way they want you to install it is there's the number 1, there's the rotor. You want that pointing at the number 1 cylinder when you install it, which is pretty normal. But all right, and they also want you to oil the gear up a little bit, and there's got a couple O-rings that got to go on it. And make sure you got your gasket. Oh, got to reach it. I don't know if I can reach. Nope. This usually takes a couple tries to get. I need longer arms.
And just like that, it's fuel pump time. So we always run a internal in-tank fuel pump because, well, they run cooler, last longer, and they're not as noisy. You generally don't hear them, unlike the external ones that just buzz away and are annoying. So this one is made by Holley. It is a complete sending unit, which includes the fuel pump and a built-in regulator, so no return line needed. It will return the unused fuel right to the fuel tank. So that's great. You can use your old fuel tank, comes with that hydro mat, and we used our old hard lines too. Just replaced the rubber lines with high pressure lines and high pressure clamps. Easy peasy.
Okay, oxygen sensor time. There's this dude. There's the bung. There's my dirty finger. And right on top of the instructions. So generally, this is your bung. You weld into your pipe, drill a hole, weld him in. But where do you weld this guy in? So per the instructions, and like every other one I've ever done, you want 10 degrees off of 90, or the horizontal, as they call it in here. No open headers or zoomies. Must have 24 inches of exhaust pipe after the O2 sensor. Also, no leaks. Actually got to have a good exhaust. Let's go see where we're going to put this thing. So we put new headers on this, which is not really necessary. If you already have a good set of headers, you don't need to do it. But these that were on it were not great. So for doing this, we're putting headers on it. And that's where we're going to go. We're going to go to the inside. It's going to get a little tight. If I can hold everything here. It's going to get a little tight to the pan there. Come on, focus. But this is going to go in another inch, and it should be okay. Shouldn't have an issue. We really can't go over here because it's in the way of the frame. And you have a long lead for this. See? So you need to make sure that that plug there can get to the plug in the ECM. That is important. So if not, obviously it won't work. All right, new day. We got all the hard parts installed and whatnot, including a new set of headers. And now it's time for wiring. Everybody's favorite thing in the world. And I really do enjoy wiring. I don't mind it until I have to wire for a week straight. Then I hate it. But either way, we kind of skimmed over the wiring process on this because it's actually really easy, guys. Everything's labeled. They give you good instructions, and it's all plug and play. So the only connections you actually have to make are a positive to your battery, a negative to your battery, and a switched ignition source. So what that means is when you roll the key over, it's got power. That's what tells the ECU to turn on. And then you have to have power while cranking. So that's important because I've done that before and chased my tail because I'm kind of an idiot sometimes. And that's an honest mistake. So it has to have power while cranking. That way the computer knows that it still needs to be on to fire the truck. And that's basically it. Now, fuel pump, they give you a little wiring harness for. That's pretty straightforward. And they follow that in the instructions. And the fans, if you're going to run electric fans, that has to be a ground output. So what that means is the ECM turns the ground on and off to control the fans per temperature. So they go over that in detail in the manual as well, and they explain it better than what I can babble through it right here. So follow your instructions, plug and play. All the harnesses labeled where they need to go, and in the instructions they tell you what sensors are what and whatnot. So they can only plug in one way. So you can't get stuff mixed up because all the plugins are different. So it really is idiot proof. Anybody can do it, even you old carburetor guys who are afraid of technology. So that's all for wiring. Okay, it's like 2 or 3 months later and we finally have Jim's Squarebody Chevy done for him. We did a ton of off-camera work because I have a hard time running the camera working and talking and sounding half intelligent. It's an issue. So we shut the cameras off and just went to work. Suspension, different rear end, wiring, which we talked about, which we didn't know was bad, radiator, fans, set of headers, just a bunch of stuff to it to make it so much better. We put a couple 100 miles on it here, and really that Edelbrock EFI runs good. Our only big major issue was it wiped out an O2 sensor, which seems to be pretty typical for this aftermarket stuff. I don't know why. Maybe somebody does. Let us know in the comments. And this thing fires or runs so good. The biggest departure from like your traditional setup with the distributor is the computer controls the ignition timing. So basically you stab your distributor in there. When you first fire it, you set it to 12 degrees on the timing tab and you lock that sucker down and you just forget about it. All the rest of your timing is done right through the tablet in the program. And for us, we ended up with 10 degrees of advance and about 28 degrees of timing. So total, it's like 34-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood at 2800. The thing runs good, and basically you just got to drive it to get your timing set. Your fueling, we never even had to touch. All that was spot on right from Edelbrock, so we didn't have to touch any of that stuff. So I think we're good to go, and I'm gonna walk you through kind of the tablet situation, and we'll do a nice cold start for you guys. Why are you making all that noise? Stop it. Tablet time. This is the Amazon Fire tablet, which is like 50 bucks on Amazon. And you can download the app right from the Amazon App Store. They have it. And it is super simple to run. So what you want to do, get your app open, turn your key on, and you will just hit the little engine button here, and it's all Bluetooth, 100%. So now you know what the tablet is. Let's scroll through these little features here. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna open the app, and I'm gonna turn my key on. Your fuel pump spool up, getting pressure, it'll run for X amount of seconds. You go ahead and hit your little engine icon there, and now you are hooked up. The initial one, you'll have to find the ECU. So you gotta have your Bluetooth and stuff on. And as far as I know, this stuff works with most any iPhone or Android phone or tablet. And if initially when you start it, you will go through your setup wizard, you will click that, you'll come to a different screen, it won't look like this, and you basically will import your stuff for your motor. It's, you know, Chevy 350 and all the other goodies. It's camshaft and you name it. Now this one isn't set up, I just did this just for demonstration purposes. This is on my iPhone. We set it up with the tablet, so this might look a little different. And you have a gauge display that will basically show you all these goodies. Here you can see fan control and fuel pressure, your AFR, your injector manifold or injection duty cycle, and your manifold vacuum coolant temp. And you can even go through, you can kind of change all these, whatever you kind of want to watch. So it does voltage. And then you can kind of come into your advanced tunings, and your air fuel ratios there, they're all set up. You can adjust them kind of just like a carburetor, your idle, your cruise, and your accelerator, or your, you know, wide open throttle, I guess. And acceleration fuel enrichment is basically like an accelerator pump on a carburetor. So if it bogs or does, you know, doesn't have enough fuel under hard acceleration, you can come in here and you can adjust that. Pretty neat. Fan controls, you can adjust all that stuff. And then spark control. This is for your timing. So basically, you set it at 12 degrees at the distributor and you lock it down and you don't do any adjustments on that. Everything is done through this. So you can see our total spark is 26 degrees and it is all in at 2800, and you just adjust it with the plus and minus signs. Idle spark, that doesn't seem to affect this truck so much, it doesn't really care, so we left that alone. And then there's your vacuum advance. So once you gotta just drive this thing to get it figured out. So we are a total of like 34 degrees at 2800 RPM, and that seems to be what this truck likes. So that's just gonna have to take a little bit of playing around on your part. So that pretty much is the gist of this. Let's fire this thing up with the Well, with that being said, would we install another Edelbrock EFI kit? I think, yeah, we probably would. It's pretty straightforward. The wiring's pretty easy. We kind of glazed over that because it is so easy. Everything is plug and play. Everything's labeled nice. The only thing you got to hook up is your positive negative on your battery. And if you're running fans, you got to run a fan circuit and power to your fuel pump. And all that is really well explained in the manual. Follow the instructions, the wiring part, don't be scared of it. It's pretty straightforward and easy. The only complaint I have on the wiring is some of the leads are too long and some of them are too short. So I know they try to make this all, specific for everything. They're trying to lump everything together. One size fits all. That's the words I'm looking for. But other than that, it's a pretty straightforward deal. Follow your instructions, use some common sense. There's plenty of forums out there on the internet that you can find, and call Edelbrock. I had some questions. I called them guys and got my answers right away. So the technical lines through Edelbrock, top notch, no issues. So yeah, I think we would install another one if we have somebody that would like to install one. We'd like to help you out with that. So I'm gonna get out of here for today and enjoy the nice sunshine, and share, like, subscribe. We'd appreciate it. And if you have any comments, questions, well, we'll try to answer it as best we can. And I hope we didn't draw this video out too long. It was kind of a hard one to do to keep it interesting, and when you span a video 2 or 3 months, it's hard to make it congruent. So I hope we did a good job. If you love it, give us a thumbs up. I'd like you to subscribe if you could. We'll catch you on the next one.